He's going to be taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes. And he said he will be calling on Congress to codify it. People live in homes, not corporations. You'd think that this would be something the left could obviously get behind. But nothing President Trump does is good to them. If he found a cure to cancer, guarantee you they'd protest that. There are some pretty big stories. It's time for some of the news you may have missed. So, first story, the economy, the economic growth. This is one where you have to acknowledge Donald Trump was right in a multitude of ways. Some ways that we couldn't have predicted. I think we were asked about this. We need to have a segment, Crowder Gets It Wrong. Remember when I said that I thought Candace Owens might pull it back?
Whoops. Eat crow.
So in the economic news, the GDP growth this quarter, the last quarter, Q4, 5.4%.
Wow.
And of course, you have to discount sort of COVID fluctuations. This is actually the highest since 2006.
Jeez.
Is what we would be seeing. Yeah. And I believe it's been the highest overall since sometime in 2001. So you can check those references. Now, keep in mind, in 2013, the rules have actually changed completely as to how we can make projections with the economy. The Obama administration, they projected no more than 3% average GDP growth. They said, I don't remember if this was him exactly, but it's from the government website. So now in the 21st century, real GDP growth in the U.S. is likely to be permanently slower than it was in earlier eras. If I'm at the helm, if I'm the one leading it, you can expect it's going to be bad.
But it's not my fault.
No, it has nothing to do with him. It's not like we had 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Trump, 4 years of Biden, and now we're back. It's not like you have very clear contrast. The results are in. Objectively, one approach works, one doesn't. Trade deficit.
Well, before you do trade deficit, that's the estimate coming out, I believe, of the Atlanta Fed. Is that right?
That's
okay,
correct,
so
yes.
The actual number will come out later. It could be plus or minus just a tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit.
Good to mention that.
Yes, thank you for clarifying. Yep. And the trade deficit, October 2025, the trade deficit is down to $29 billion. That's the lowest since June 2009.
Wow. Jeez Louise.
Now, we have to get into the jobs report. We'll probably have to do that next week. There's a lot that goes into that, and unemployment. But I will tell you this. This is the most important metric that nobody really talks about. So job growth. What have we seen? Well, obviously there's some job growth. But here's what really matters. Native-born jobs, the job growth there, were up 2.6 million. So plus 2.6 million jobs. Foreign-born jobs in the United States, down 1 million.
Yeah.
So that's a spread of 3.6 million. You have to keep in mind that under Biden, native-born jobs from pre-COVID highs, they went down by 1.1 million. So minus 1.1, but plus 3 million for foreign. Jeez. Let me ask you this. This is my question. Do you think that was by accident? Do you think a direct flip, plus 2.6 for Americans, minus 1 million for foreigners, versus Biden, minus 1.1 million for foreigners, plus 3 million, for Americans, plus 3 million for foreigners. The exact flip. Almost, this is about as close as you get statistically with the economy. Does that happen by accident? If you agree, logically, it's by design, then the only question that remains is, well, which design is better? This is not one of those things like, well, everyone's an American. No, which design is better? One that favors American citizens and job growth, or one that favors people who aren't American but are receiving American dollars? That is, you can make a decision and then make your case, but it is by design. There's no more arguing about that. We also have something pretty notable. This would be the second big story on the housing market.
Yeah.
And I think that some people in the administration, I know that some people in the administration, they do watch this show. We always try and provide you with solutions. So 1 month ago, before we went on break, I dropped a very specific 6-point prescription on how to lower housing prices. Here it is. So let me walk you back through it. 6-point plan, okay, just to make sure there's no misinterpretation. Ban of purchases from institutional investors or foreign investors on single-family home units. Only citizens, local permanent residents, can buy homes with very strict verification, severe penalties for anyone housing, renting to, or selling homes to illegal aliens, along with increased deportations, an legal immigrant renting period for the first 2 years of residency, incentivize starter homes on the builder side with tax breaks, tax credits, and then incentivize first-time home buyers with a tax deduction for that first year. Yeah. So again, the first point was ban the purchase of single-family homes by institutional investors, namely BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. That was the first point. Looks like Washington finally heard you guys, because Trump just announced on Truth, President Trump, that he was going to be actually doing that, specifically enacting a policy. He wrote, "For a very long time, buying and owning a home was considered the pinnacle of the American dream. It was the reward for working hard, gotta work hard, and doing the right thing, but now, because of the record high inflation caused by Joe Biden, the Democrats in Congress, the American dream is increasingly out of reach for far too many people, especially younger Americans." That's very important because those people need to hear this.
Yeah.
And it is for that, my voice is shot today, for that reason that he's going to be taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes. And he said he will be calling on Congress to codify it. People live in homes, not corporations. And here's the thing. I'm going to get to a claim versus a truth here, and we make the references available as we always do. When the left says find common ground, I want you to go through a thought exercise with me. Do you believe that the left, think Bernie Sanders, think Elizabeth Warren, think Kamala Harris, think Joe Biden, are they generally pro-corporation or anti-corporation? Are they generally pro-government intervention or anti-government intervention in their approach? What's their party platform? In other words, if there's a policy that allows businesses more unfettered access, freedom to operate, or regulation or subsidization, right? The government in control. What does the left typically prefer? What actually defines the difference between the parties for you to vote Republican versus Democrat? Typically speaking, you just heard it from that man in the orchard. Free enterprisers, people who believe in personal liberty, obviously vote Republican. The opposite, people who believe in centralized planning, more government control for the good of the people, they vote Democrat. So you would think in this case, where people like us, who are conservatives, who are pro-free markets, with, of course, the appropriate constraints, when we say, hey, you know what, though? We agree this is a problem with modern capitalism. This is a problem with capitalism. It does need to directly relate to the goods or services involved. Homes are for people, right? Single-family homes should be for families. So we do think that that would be an appropriate regulation, especially because these giant, multi-conglomerate international investors, they don't have a vested interest in the community. And so it's just a number on a ledger and communities get destroyed. Mm-hmm. When we say that, you would think, of course, since we've moved to the left on that, saying there needs to be regulation, that would be an easy one, right? When the left says common ground, it's a gimme.
Yeah.
No. They're against it now, and we'll get to that. But I just need you to understand that, so stop trying to find common ground with these people because they'll move the goalposts. They're not honest. Here's the claim that you see now going around. In order for the left to fight against Donald Trump's policy of banning institutional investors from buying family homes, that's where they stand. The claim is that institutional investors only own about 1% to 2% of single-family homes. Oh, here's the truth. Sure, that's still about 1.7 million homes. And then, like we talked about in that episode, it doesn't take into account certain zip codes.
Yeah.
So, for example, in Atlanta, these institutional investors, they control 25% of homes.
That's insane.
Hey, what happened to corporations, capitalism? They're taking advantage of it's the blackest city in America, the blackest major city in America. A quarter of it is run by people who would have a vested interest in pretty much just liquidating and harming that community to maximize profit. The left is saying, no, we shouldn't be doing this. Jacksonville, 21% of the market is controlled. Charlotte, 18%. Tampa, 15%. The left is now putting themselves in the position, and not all, to be clear, but as a political wing right now, to be against Donald Trump using the government to regulate giant institutional investors from ripping single-family homes from a community. The left is saying, no. They should be able to do that. Keep in mind, these are the same institutional investors who Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders said should be too big to fail, which means they'll get your bailouts no matter what. You'd think that this would be something the left could obviously get behind. But nothing President Trump does is good to them. If he found a cure to cancer, guarantee you they'd protest that.
Cancer cells matter.
And this is the thing. We go, you know what? Hey, we agree with you. This is an area where there needs to be some appropriate regulation because we didn't foresee this. We issued a multi-point plan. The first step Donald Trump wants to take, one that every single person I have discussed this with supports. The left says, no. We want Vanguard. We want State Street. We want Black. What you never hear is the left make the case as to why it's better for them to be doing this. What's good about it?
Yeah, what's the benefit? Corporations owning a quarter of the single-family homes in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Driving rent rates up, making sure people can't own homes. And unfortunately, I mean, it's not the best vehicle in the world, but that's typically how people pass down wealth to their children generationally. Like, it really does screw up the community. And the 1% to 2% argument, what does it need to be before you stop it? I think the problem is the trend. It's not the total right now, even though the total's massive, 1.7 million homes. That hurts a lot.
And that's just for now. That's just for now. How long have these, institutional investors been purchasing these homes? I can't imagine it's been more than 25 years. You give another 25 years, you at least double that.
I can tell you my parents in their home, they got notices from these institutional investors when the house wasn't for sale, offering way above asking price. Why? They'll just buy it, and then they know that they have a corner of the market. They drive the rates up. They can turn it into a rental if they want. By the way, to them, hey, it's totally fine to have 16 families of H-1B visas in your neighborhood. We don't care. We'll squeeze out every dime, rent it for a while, and then later on we'll sell it. 25% of the market in Atlanta. So basically, I guess the left, they want Black Americans, their options in Atlanta to be subsidized housing. Or that's it. I guess that's it. Nothing else. They just want it to be that. Yeah. Section 8. Section 8, the rest is for BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. This is one of those things, there's no guess as to the reason for it, and there's no guesswork required as to the intent behind President Trump's policy. You asked, you received. If you don't get it, it will be because of the left. If you don't get State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock, if you don't get them out of the single-family home market, that is because of Democrats in your government. Try and wrap your head around that one. President Trump and us, we just want to make sure that homes in the United States are for American families.
Your house shouldn't be a rented corporate-sized house. No Blackstone sign in the yard. Owning a home will be so hard. Now keep deporting immigrants, please. Oh, that'll help too.
Champagne.
There you go. Hey, 1.7 million from these guys, add a couple million to illegal aliens. That opens up a lot of homes.
That's true. And by the way, if this wasn't such a big deal, why did Blackstone's stock fall yesterday or Wednesday on the announcement, I should say?
Did I say Black State?
No, you said Black.
It's Blackstone, State Street, Vanguard. It's always hard for me to keep.
BlackRock is
BlackRock. You just said Blackstone.
This company is Blackstone. They're more focused on this. But there's also a saying.
That's a grill company.
Blackstone?
Yeah, Blackstone.
I don't know.
The grill.
Oh, I'm so dumb, dude. I don't know why I thought this. I thought you meant like grills.
It's okay. You're still thinking about hockey, sort of.
I got Paul Wall on the mind, dude.
Well, there's a saying too, when there's blood in the streets, buy real estate, right? So there's an incentive for there to be chaos and conflict for these people to be able to buy more of the real estate in this country. And listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's not a big stretch to go like let's foment some stuff over there so we can buy some stuff here. That'd be fantastic. You know?
Yeah. So, they want to buy as cheaply as possible and jack up the prices.
It's basically the plot of Twisters.
I didn't see Twister.
The Twister sequel? Yeah, these guys, they have the guise of like studying tornadoes and storms.
Yeah.
And all they do is just go to where the storms happen, and then the investor buys up all their properties after they've been
destroyed
torn up.
properties. That's sort of true, yeah.
I just watched that. It was good.
Did you?
I didn't think it was good. I thought it was cheesy.
It was campy, but it was
decent.
fun.
I wouldn't go around
anyway.
just admitting that out loud. I don't know. You guys can comment. Is Twister's good? Am I missing out on something special?
It's just
No, I wouldn't say special.
So here's a third point, by the way. This is a really big one. And of course, I'm more concerned with issues in the United States of America. So the ICE shooting is pretty big because it's a propaganda point for the left. But the third story you may have missed, there's a revolution in real time going on in Iran right now.
Yeah.
They have not been talking about it in legacy media. So I think it's Collage C3 you can bring up. So let me give you a quick recap. Protesters are burning down government buildings in Tehran, other cities. Iranians have actually not only been requesting support from President Trump, but putting up Trump street signs, pro-Trump graffiti. Mm-hmm. This is a lot of Iranians, by the way. And as I understand it, quite a few have been shot or killed by the regime. So the regime, in response to this revolution, they have shut off landlines, internet, outside communication. But for some reason, the regime is still airing Tucker Carlson on a loop like a morphine drip.
For some reason?
And this is also why this is important. People went out, protested, okay? People were killed. And then more people went out and protested. So you could say, people say, this is a PSYOP, it's a CIA. That doesn't get Iranian citizens to the point where they are willing to die, where they've watched their friends die. They've watched their friends be arrested and say, you know what? This is worth it. We have an opportunity. We need to seize it. And a big part of that, yes, is Donald Trump said, hey, if you start shooting these protesters, if you do what we think you're going to do, you're going to have some trouble. So they feel backstopped. And you know what? Is that regime change when the citizens have already started a revolution? This is a genuine question for you guys.
Yeah.
No, there's a word for it. I apologize for not remembering the word exactly, but there's a word for it. It's not regime change. When revolutionaries are fighting in another
popular
sovereign
uprising.
nation.
And these aren't even just revolutionaries. These are just citizens, protesters. It's not like a militia
That's how
group.
revolutionaries are created.
Yeah.
Yeah, real revolutionary, not these metaphorical.
Or I mean, like Che Guevara was a revolutionary, but it wasn't really all the people. It was just him and a few
handful of guys.
Him and a few henchmen. So all that's been going on. As I understand, 38 killed, right? Probably more. Because
I don't believe that number at all. It's kind of like taking the Gaza
I
Ministry
guarantee
of Health,
you it's way higher.
Yeah, number on this thing. I don't believe that.
And 2,200 detained. The numbers are very likely higher. These are coming from ABC though. So here's what all of that looks like in Iran.
President Trump. That's what the sign was.
Mm-hmm.
Such a contrast to Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah. It's like he just almost caught himself on fire. Careful, bro.
Yeah.
Wait, stop, Armin. So the Islamic regime right now is literally broadcasting Tucker Carlson interviews in Persian on their 24-hour news channel.
And the reason this is important is because this faction on the right out there where they've said, this is just because it's Israel's war. And people like Tucker have said, I don't want to hurt the people of Iran and be immoral. The people of Iran want their government out because of the human rights atrocities. The people of Iran, hey, look, maybe Israel, guaranteed Israel, wants this regime and the Ayatollah out.
Of course.
So would the United States. Why? Because they say death to America, and they say that if they get the opportunity, they'll kill all of us. As to whether they can feasibly, that's a different conversation. But here's the thing. That doesn't change the fact that en masse, people of Iran want that. Look, I think most Jews probably like sandwiches. I as well like sandwiches. If I'm eating a sandwich, it does not mean I'm doing the bidding of the Jews.
Unless it's on rye.
I think marble rye, you'd have a case.
Bagel.
But with the people of Iran, their needs and wants may be aligned with what Israel would prefer.
Yes.
Fine. But it doesn't mean that it's because of Israel. Now, you could argue, well, maybe it could. Maybe it's a PSYOP. Sure. But here's what is not to be argued. Their views, for whatever reason, are directly in opposition to the Tucker Carlsons, to the Dave Smiths of the world. And I'm not saying that to Dave Smith has been very nice on this program. We had a productive conversation about that. But it does beg the question. People saying, I don't want to do this with Iran. What they're referring to is the Iranian government. In other words, you do have to pick. Do you support the people of Iran? Because if you support the people of Iran, you'd have to support regime change. Or do you support the government of Iran, in which case they should be able to do what they want? They're not a threat. The people of Iran. It doesn't mean that it's our job. I'm just talking about discussing it. If you are discussing it and your jumping off point is not, well, of course, the Ayatollah, of course, the current regime is awful, and it would be a blessing for them to be wiped off the face of the map so that the people could actually have some form of self-determination. If it doesn't start off with that, that means you don't understand it, and it means that you are doing the bidding of the government of Iran against its people. How's that liberty?
Yeah. And by the way, all it takes is something small. So typically what happens in these protests, they kind of break out, they crack down on them, they kill some people, and everybody scatters and they go back home. That didn't happen.
They're still going.
One of the things that changed this time was the president came out. Donald Trump said, if you start killing a bunch of people over there, we're going to have a problem with it. And we're going to do something about it. And all of a sudden, you saw the guys in power go, oh, crap, now what do we do? Because these guys have already bombed us once.
Yeah.
They mean what they say. So these protests spread. That was the video we saw. Most of it was last night. The massive gatherings, nationwide gatherings. This is, like I said, day 12 of this. This is not like it just happened. Some people claim there's over 100 cities that have been taken over. People coming over from the administration and basically saying, hey, I'm on your side. But the problem last night, and that's why I think the death toll is much higher, is that there were reports that were basically pulling out local police and local forces and sending in the military, and lots of gunfire was heard. And so things changed last night. And then the Ayatollah came out with a statement as well. So I think they're trying to last grasp at power, and we'll see where it goes from here. But I hope these guys finally get free, because guess what? This happened in 79. That's how they came into power.
Yep.
Same kind of thing, a revolution.
Well, here's the thing. If the United States, let's say right now, just said, okay, you know what? This is going on anyway, and people are being killed, and they want regime change. Here are a few rifles, guys, since you're being shot by the military. And if they returned to a form of government that they want, I believe it's the Shah that they want.
Yeah, well, they're chanting. What is this? It's the Crown Prince or something. I don't even know. It's the Shah's grandson, nephew,
right?
Something like
that. And then 10 years from now, 20 years from now, it didn't turn out perfectly. You'd have these people going, "See, regime change doesn't work." Right now, there's either going to be a regime change in Iran, which is what the people want, or those people will be killed.
Yeah, massive.
And the totalitarian government will stay in power. That's already happening. So what do you think is better? It's not like we're starting something. We're there. Do you think the world is better off with regime change or the current dead set on nuclear weapon Iran? We got to start being adults about international policy. It doesn't mean that we need to go in and have a military operation, but it does mean you're backing somebody. If you don't back somebody, you're backing the government of Iran. That's how the world works. Doesn't mean that I like it. That's how the world works. Also, something else to take into account, a big reason for these protesters or these protests, you need to understand, people here, and I agree with you, we shouldn't be sending money to Ukraine. I agree with you, we shouldn't be sending money to Israel. So $3 billion, $4 billion, and all of it. The people of Iran feel the same way about Gaza. Do you know that? They're going, look, we're dealing with record high inflation. Gasoline is out of control, not to mention the repression, and we have to wear these burqas, which we didn't vote for. But this is all happening, and you're sending our money to Gaza? We don't want to support Hamas and Hezbollah. The libertarians of Iran are against what the libertarians in the United States seem to support as far as Gaza and Palestine. They are very bothered by it, and I've spoken with quite a few. Does that change your view? Does it change your view a little bit as far as who's been pro-liberty on this? You think the people of Iran want to pay for Gaza when they can't afford food or gas? Come on, guys, let's start being adults about this. Hey, do you like what you saw? I don't know how, because it's on YouTube and we have to cut all the good parts out. So you should tune in live weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on Rumble. We can still speak freely and even use words like and get and whoa. You've been here this whole time?
Yeah. Snuck in.